Welcome to the E Show, presented by the Hockey Podcast Network. Founded in 2013, the EHL is your next step on the path to college. Over the past decade, the EHL has established itself as the college placement leader on the East Coast. And now, here's your host, the commissioner of the Eastern Hockey League, Neil Ravin.
Thanks, Jim. And with that, let's bring in Jeff and Anthony. Guys, another showcase down. I had a little bit of a pivot this past week. I wanted to change the name. It was one of those things, you know how you just think of ideas in the most random places? Like for me, it's always like laying in bed or in the shower. You just think about everything that's going on in your entire life. And I think I was in the shower and I was like, the word mini just seems so small.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So
miniature.
Yes. And not special.
Right.
So for those
that was a good change by you.
Yeah. Well, for those that may have noticed at home, I decided to start calling them regional showcases because technically it is what it is. That's what the teams in the region are all meeting together. Right.
Yep.
So we're actually. Oh, sorry, Anthony. You go.
No, I mean I can sympathize with that as a mini person myself. You know, I like to say that
I knew we were going there.
Vertically challenged, fun size. You know, when it rains, I'm the last one to know.
Oh my god,
Anthony, you're regionally. You're regionally.
I'm regionally heighted. Yes.
Regionally different.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Regional to the ground.
I love you for going there with that. That was awesome.
And we're actually recording and dropping this podcast in between regional showcases, which is, the reason for the title of the podcast, literally in between. So I actually have a trivia question for you guys, but I'm going to give it to you now in Around the E Show.
Let's take a look at what's going on around the E Show.
Around the E Show is presented by BioSteel, the sports drink of the EHL. Use the promo code EHLB1, that's EHLB1, for 25% off when you check out at biosteel.com.
So, I'll preface this trivia question by saying that maybe it has a lot to do with the fact that they host a lot of showcases. And it's unfortunate that Jake is not here to probably answer this trivia question for you guys on this podcast. But the Railers are pretty damn good.
They're hot.
They're
smoking hot.
And they're pretty damn good in showcase, right? When was the last time they lost a showcase game?
Newington last year.
Nope.
Bertoni was talking to me about Newington being not a great place for them.
Yes.
Exeter against the 87s.
No, 87s lost that game. 2-1, Anthony.
Newington 2 years ago?
No, that's too far, unfortunately. But you got to go all the way back to last year's regional showcase where we just passed October 9th against the Express. They've got a whole year without losing a showcase game. So, Jake, thanks for joining us. What's so key about the Railers and the showcases? Maybe, as I just said, it helps that they are hosting a few of them, so they're playing them in their building. But they seem like a different team when it comes showcase time, and they weren't easy. I mean, look at the tale of the two games, right? If you're going based off records, you would have thought that the Express game may have gone to a 9-round shootout between the Railers and the Express, as opposed to that being the Bandits game, and it was the Express game that they won 6-3. What statement, if any, did the Railers make in these past few days? I know you were there, Jeff, but Anthony, you were following along at home.
Yeah, I mean, and they keep doing they look like our old pal Monty with the Bruins too, right? Being able to switch Casper and Matthews kind of 1A, 1B. I mean, they're deep. They're so deep that, they just traded Aiden Swain to Providence. That's a guy that's been there, a good defenseman for them for a few years. And they're still talking about moving some pieces. We'll keep that behind closed doors, and that's because they have the best problem you can have as a hockey team. And for Coach Bertoni and Coach Rougeau and Coach Fine-Lease, the best problem to have is having too many good players. You got competition breeds success, right? So you got all these guys fighting for spots, fighting for ice time, and guys are starting to develop. I mean, a lot of the veterans are having great years. Guys like McAleer and Tristan Boyer, who just told Jake the other day it's Boyer, not Boyer, but we're not going to go back to that, Tristan. Yeah, I mean, it's just like a veteran latent team that's just they're deep, and I mean, they got more guys at the premier level too. The premier team, I know we'll talk about later, is pretty darn good too. So it's just, yeah, I mean, they're making a statement that Coach Bertoni doesn't like all the talk about people saying, "Oh, the Central Division's weak," and "Oh, this and that," and well, they just beat one of the best teams in the East Division. The Express only had 2 losses before yesterday, and a 6-3 win is a pretty good statement win for the Railers.
I think what's also worth noting is that, other than the playoffs, the showcase is one of the bigger stages on the EHL stage, where you're playing not just in front of every other team in the league, but also in front of a lot of college coaches who like to go to these games. And the fact that the Railers just so consistently bring out their A game, I don't know if it's just the mentality and the culture in that Railers locker room, or also Sean Bertoni, the coach, being able to get his team motivated for those games. John Fine leads too for the EHLP team. Can't forget about them.
Yep.
It's just so remarkable.
Yeah. I mean, they've always been a tight-knit group, right? Like, we've seen that. I mean, not to bring up sad news, but have you seen them at the Frozen Finals last year? They all rip us to pieces with their emotions and tears. Being an emotional teddy bear myself, like Coach Bertoni, I told him that this past week. I mean, that's a huge key, right? Hockey is all about chemistry. It's all about the locker room, and they're one of the better ones at building a tight-knit group, and that translates onto the ice.
Well, we talk about a trained team. We'll go off the tracks for a second, Jeff. Because you could call yourself emotional. We know that we love how emotional you are, and those of us that were fortunate enough to see your wedding ceremony were kind of like, well, when will Jeff first shed a tear? Before it even started. So
did you have it over under?
No. Like we were kind of talking about like a minute, and then like you like started walking in. I was like, guys, like it's already over. Like it's like I said, it could be the wind. Like it was pretty windy at points, right?
It was.
I would have personally blamed the wind myself if I was you. But you're all good, man. We love you for that. But back on tracks with the Railers. To bring up the 87s again, Anthony. If the Railers were to beat the Chiefs on Tuesday, they would tie the 87s from the 21-22 season for the 5th longest winning streak in league history at 14 games. They're at 13 right now, right above the 87s in 21-22 with the Rangers in 1920. That was a 15-game winning streak. The Avalanche, 3rd longest winning streak in 18-19. That was a 16-game streak. That team won the championship. I remember everyone. And then right above them, Revolution, 17-18 with a 17-game winning streak. Of course, the longest winning streak is listed at 30 games.
Rocky Russo, baby.
And let me just remind everyone, there was a game in the middle of that.
So you want to tell that story real quick?
The Little Flyers were losing the game. And like, you can't even make this up. A car hit a telephone pole outside the rink and knocked out power. I remember FaceTiming Alo, and he's like, we don't have power. Like, it's just dark. Like, we couldn't even like see each other. So they literally had to use flashlights to get out of the building. And when they resumed the game, the Little Flyers lost. But at that time, the streak had already ended. I think the streak ended to I want to say New England Wolves at the Monarch Showcase in Hooksett way back when, right? So obviously, like, it's kind of similar to like baseball. If a game has a rain delay or a game gets suspended because of rain, when the game finishes, it counts towards that date, right? So it's almost like, I don't even want to use this word because the Little Flyer is about to jump at me. It's like, is there an asterisk there? Like, I don't know. Because like,
you're about to go to the city of brotherly love here.
Dude, I know. Week. Neil from the north is traveling to the south, right? So, but we're bringing this up because the Railers are right on the doorstep of cracking into that top 5. So, but every game brings a different story. So, and as you mentioned, Jeff, there's a lot of talk always about the Central, and you look at this past week, the Apple Corps we're not a part of this regional showcase because they're going to the one in Exeter. The Rough Riders were in this.
I miss you, Lenny.
They're this island in the middle. The Apple Corps Rough Riders, like you draw a line in the middle of the footprint, and they're right there. So how it worked out in the scheduling process was they are playing an extra home and home series against each other, Apple Core Rough Riders, and then one of them went to the regional that we were just at, and one goes to the other regional. So you take them out of this past week's regional, and the rest of the Central Division combined for 0 wins. So, and it wasn't like they weren't close games,
Right. I was saying Rhode Island. I called
Rhode Island
the Avalanche the other day, 4-3. They lost
a 1-goal game to the Avalanche, and I hate empty netters personally. It's a whole different podcast for a different day. But it was basically
game yesterday.
A 1-goal game against the Rangers. Also, Providence carried a 2-goal lead with them into the final period against the Terriers. But I bring it all up because when the Railers do what they do, and the rest of the division doesn't pick up any points, there's a gap now, and you can't cruise if you're Worcester. But all of a sudden now you have a 6-point lead in the division. Apple Core, who play later today against the Rough Riders, funny how that works out, probably feel like, even though they weren't playing games, like they feel behind even more now. Right? Like, we have to win today. You think, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 100%. I mean, we all have been talking about Lenny Caglione on the podcast all year and how he's been able to transform that team. We've been talking about guys like Anthony Fernillo, Nick Sweet. I mean, yeah, they're going to be – that's a team that probably leads the woo category in the EHL as far as when they're on the ice. They are loud. They let you know it. So, yeah, I expect a pretty rambunctious Apple Core team versus the Rough Riders today, trying to get a win and make sure that gap doesn't get too much bigger.
Yep. Lenny, probably I love to get ahead of myself, guys. We're probably like an early top candidate for Coach of the Year, too. Let's just make sure we get that out there. I mean, look at the year that they're having. So, yeah. But to shift up from there, we'll go to the East Division and start with other teams that swept. At the top, ho-hum, the Boston Junior Rangers. Win both of their games at the showcase. That Rhode Island one, though, that third period did get a little hairy.
Sure did. You, Tyler, Trevor, Jake, we're all watching that. We're like,
4-1, 4-2, 4-3. So
literally exactly how the Avalanche game went the day before that I called. The Avs were up 3-0, and then they just kind of slowly but surely chipped away. Sorry, Big C. Love you, big fella. We'll talk about the EHL big guy rankings later. What are those, you ask? I don't know. Ask Chris. Yeah, I mean, the Avalanche took a too many men on the ice call on the power play, and I thought poor Chris was going to have a conniption on the bench.
It's the one call that coaches can never argue. Because it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You're physically on the ice, so you can tell Chris is like, I want to argue this, but I can't argue this because they're all on the ice.
After he was like, no, he's like, yeah, that's absolutely our fault. He's like, you're on the power play. You have more guys on the ice. You're just switching on and off. But yeah,
I mean, one thing I'll say, just a quick digression with the too many men call. If you're ever in the scores table or between the benches during a game, you'll be surprised how often coaches will they'll shout too many anytime a team goes for a line change. If the puck just flies by the bench while guys are going for a line change, they always try to get that extra power play on that call. So, something that the coaches always pay attention to as well.
Yeah, Adam Hooley, Anthony, all the time. You could count on him saying, you know what? There's your new sportsbook bet, Jeff and Anthony. Adam Hooley, anytime, in quotes, too many call. If you could actually kind of like parlay it too. You could say like if he says it just once in one game, twice in one game. He's probably hearing this and so mad right now. But I do have look at this, Anthony. I have an 87s. I can't even reach it. It's a driver head cover behind me, so he'll be happy with me when I see him.
So one of my faves is Richie D Caps with his hand always goes up for offsides. Hand offsides
because they always stand right on the blue line.
Yeah, so he's just trying to help him out,
So, but the Rangers win both those games at the regional showcase to improve to 14-4-0. So they have a 4-point lead in the division right now over the East Coast Wizards, who I feel like every week of this podcast we talk about how historically they have these slow starts, but then like they just keep winning games.
Oh my God, that was my first game of this entire showcase. Was that I said to Corey, that football game where they kicked 3 field goals and the Chiefs had a touchdown and a missed extra point, and it was a 9-6 Wizards final. There was not more than a 1-goal lead until the very end of that game. It was such a back and forth, even Wizards score, Chiefs score, Chiefs score, Wizards score, Wizards score, Chiefs score. And holy smokes. Yeah.
15 Wizards goals in 2 days.
I feel like that's one of the biggest takeaways from the showcase because I think we said it a couple times before how the Wizards have been a team that over the last couple of seasons haven't really put the puck in the net, but now guys are just scoring in bunches. I mean, Raffoni, for a while it was Kolovos too, where everything's just clicking for them right now, and they're just a team to watch on offense.
Yeah, and then they have a new guy too that I saw, O'Connell, 2 goals, 3 assists his first 2 games in the showcase. That's that was the thing that kind of struck me too, is there was a lot of guys that were kind of scoring their first goals. Like Kolovos is still out. Aaron O'Connor scored his first goal. Who else? Alex Kalot, who scored against the Rangers. He scored a couple times this week, and so they're getting goals from other guys too, which that's a huge lift.
You think he's going to score a lot of goals this season?
Oh,
all right, bye guys.
They actually
played dad joke on the podcast.
Yeah, I love that. They actually played the Rangers last Friday too, leading up to that regional showcase. That was a 4-2 win for the Rangers. So those 2 teams sit 1 and 2. Then at 3, the Express. We touched on their loss to the Railers, but even still, they're still 10 and 3. Like 10 and 3. Like
they played some of the fewest games in the entire league, so they still have like plenty of games in hand against everybody to make up that time. And
they have 5 games in hand right there over the Rangers, right? I'm not saying they're going to win all 5 of those games, but if they do, they're in first place, right? You shift below them, Boston Junior Terriers. They won both of their games.
They look good
at the regional showcase. Andrew Van Antwerp. I don't really know what that celebration is. It's like
Trevor told us the wizard
thing.
Ooh.
Yeah, like I don't know. It's unique. I
Trevor did that show and tell in the office for us yesterday. It was because I asked him. I felt like such an old guy with it's like, Trevor, show me what this wizard celebration is. All these kids are doing, will you? Like, what is this emoji thing these kids are doing? And then he showed us, and it's like it's like you're doing a little wizard thing.
That was good, like talking out of the side of your mouth like that too, and everything, right? Chef.
What my pipe in my side of my face, and I got to do both those Terriers games. Those are the first 2 games I've seen them this year on the call, and very impressive. Yeah. The game against the Wolves, a shootout win. They battled back. They were down a couple late. The game against Providence yesterday, they scored all 5 of their goals third period.
Yeah,
they were down 3-0. They were getting shut out. Phil Feinberg, dude, I know him from his time with another junior hockey team, and he's really good. He's already got, I think he had 4 goals the other day, a hat trick in regulation, a goal in the shootout.
Yeah,
Van Antwerp and Feinberg scored all the goals in that 5-4 win over the Wolves the other day.
Yeah. Seahawks picked up a shutout win over the Chiefs. We mentioned the Bandits. They didn't win either of their games, but they got a point in their shootout loss, the Railers. So if we don't call this podcast in between, like at some point we got to call a podcast Beasts of the East, because they're beasts and they all got points at the showcase in Worcester. And then we'll wrap it up. We'll wrap up the regional showcase review in the North Division. Yes, Chris, the Avalanche have won 8 straight games. So if the Railers winning streak ends, we'll start talking about the Avalanche winning streak. Okay, they've won 8 straight games. The Rhode Island one probably got a little bit closer than they wanted it to do, as we wanted it to be, as we mentioned, as that game went down the stretch. But ho hum, use that saying again. 11-3-1 through 15 games, and you take away the 8-game winning streak. It's kind of similar to like kind of the way the Rangers season has gone. Avalanche were 3-3-1 at one point. Like, when was that? Like 4 months ago.
The last time they were in Worcester.
Yeah, true.
Was worried.
True, Anthony. That is very true.
Mike Marchese, last week's player of the week in the North, might be getting it again. 6 points in 2 games, 2 goals, 4 assists. That kid's good. And Chris is like burying him on the 4th line. I think it's like a think it's one of those air quote fourth lines.
Yeah, I don't think there's any.
Like, there's no fourth line. I don't know a fourth line.
I do think that is the case for most of the teams. I think they just put stuff in order. I don't think there really is like a 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, hey, look at like Corey had a good laugh with me this week because his line chart is in no line order. It's just in numerical order.
Corey Felides.
Yes, it's just the numbers. They're not playing with their lines. He goes, so you really don't know who's on what line. It's like,
I actually love that.
I don't know. Well, for broadcasters, yes, right? It's easier to find. Do you get a little strategic advantage over that? Who knows? Right? But Avalanche win both their games at the regional showcase. And then you work your way down the list here. Seacoast won a game. They lost the game. Wolves won a game. They lost the game. Vermont won a game. They lost the game. Valley won a game. They lost the game. Everybody else split at the showcase. And there were some north on north matchups. So Anthony, as I say every week, I took a little heat for the scheduling process.
Yes.
Why are we playing each other here? We have to drive past each other's rinks to play each other here. I'm like, well, the rink's really nice, so at least you're playing in a nice rink. That's like the only positive I had, or the only pro I had at that point.
Next headline: Neil Ravin calling out the conditions of all the North Division arenas.
Oh my god!
Actually, Scott Trevich was giving us an interesting nugget yesterday. Myself and Tyler Rago, that he did the math on the winning percentage of the teams that the Bandits have played so far. He said it's like 667. So they've played nothing but top tier teams to start their year. Welcome back to the EHL, Bridgewater Bandits.
Yeah, and not all of that is me. So the showcase games.
He said that. He goes, maybe I should have picked my schedule a little better. I don't
know. It's all in good fun when it comes to the schedules, right? But as I mentioned, the name of this podcast is In Between, which is in between the Worcester Regional Showcase and now the Philadelphia Regional Showcase. And again, for those that are keeping track at home, I know that the Philadelphia Hockey Club does not play in Philadelphia. They technically play in New Jersey, but we have to go by the name of the team, right?
They're just like the Jets and the Giants. You know, they're too afraid to call themselves New Jersey.
I mean, I guess we could call them the NJHC, Anthony, the New Jersey Hockey Club. That would be the name change, but they're hosting next week's regional showcase for the South Division. It's funny how many South guys called me during the past few days because they wanted to. I don't want to say didn't want to feel left out, but it's kind of like this anxious feeling of like, you know, we're coming up next week. Just a reminder, we have to play each other more than those guys do because of the way the footprint falls. You know, the South plays each other like 6 or 7 times a piece. Those guys play like 4 times in division, and they can cross over because of how close they are to each other. So let's just remind each other of the matchups that we're going to see in Philly next week because as Adam Hooley was saying, Anthony, when it comes to playing like Maryland for the 5th or 6th time, like it just becomes a war. And you look at the 87's recent games. If you want to put, here's your parlay, Anthony. Anytime Adam Hooley says too many men, and will the game end in a final score of 3-2? Because that's their new
5 consecutive games.
That's insane.
And not only that, six out of their last 7 games have ended in a 3-2 final score. What? And I don't have the numbers in front of me right now, but I want to say like 12 of their 16 games have been 1-goal games. So you know, they're just playing so tight, you know, just on the margins. And you know, they went to Maryland. They had a 1-goal lead. Maryland tied it up on a great goal. And then it was Ivan Cooligan who started in the EHLP team this season. You know, he scored the game winner. He now has 3 points, all of them at Piney Orchard Arena on the same net too, which is kind of funny.
He only likes one net.
Weird.
Yeah. Jeff, are you looking at this schedule right now? Anthony is not kidding. 3-2 Huntsman on the 11th of October. 3-2 with the Bears. 3-2 with the Little Flyers. 3-2 with the Bears. 3-2 with the Huntsman. 3-2 with Maryland. I mean, look at this. Shootout, overtime. Oh my God.
Yeah, I see it. And I mean, it's crazy. This is not the only team that's been involved in this. We've been talking about this. We talked about the Apple Corps had that streak of 7 straight games, 1-goal games. The Terriers are involved in an 8-game streak of 1-goal decisions. And yesterday was just their, I think, 3rd win. I think they're 3-5 in those 8. So what does that always mean, guys? That means the league is deep. The league is good.
Yes.
These teams are a lot more even than people think. Great for business. Great for us broadcasters. Great for us journalists. So keep it up.
And if you close your eyes and you look at last year's standings versus this year's standings, where teams currently sit, just change the name of the first place team from Protect Junior Ducks to New Jersey Bears. Second place team, New Jersey 87s. New Jersey 87 still. Remember, this is what took place last year. It became like a 1-2 race for first place, and then it became a 3-4-5 race to avoid the play-in game, ended up being Maryland winning the play-in game and then winning their way into the South Division Finals. Anthony, is this division race going to look the same exact way that it looked last year come March?
I don't know. I feel like it's a little too early to tell. I mean, when you see how many games are being decided by 1 goal, I think that we could easily see a team like the Pennsylvania Huntsmen bounce back, or Team Maryland, even Philadelphia Hockey Club. Because if anything, I think PHC had a pretty slow start to the season, but they've picked it up recently.
Yep.
They've dropped their last 3, but again, I think they definitely have the players. They have what it takes to bounce back. But I mean, right now, the Bears and the 87s are the 2 hotter teams in the South.
For sure. There's 3 games apiece on Tuesday and Wednesday for this regional showcase. I started off with a Philly matchup. Philly Hockey Club versus Philly Little Flyers. Huntsmen versus 87s, and Bears versus Maryland. And then day 2, Philly Hockey Club versus the Bears, Little Flyers versus Huntsmen, and 87s versus Maryland. So maybe we'll get 6 1-goal games, Anthony.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Wouldn't that be a thing?
So shifting over now, though, to the EHLP. For those that are, again, keeping track at home, we only have 2 league-wide showcases in the EHLP this season. And in a way, they kind of just bookend the season. We had one towards the very start of the year, and then one to wrap up the regular season. Which division do you guys want to start with?
Wherever you would like, Kamish. You choose.
30 points apiece for the Rangers and Railers. 30. Like 30 points. It's November 10th, guys. They each have 30 points.
Their stat lines are almost identical too. It's stupid. The Rangers have scored 86 goals, Railers 82. Their differentials an identical 43 plus 43. Records 15-1, 0-0 for the Railers. Rangers 14-2, 1-1. I think those 2 teams are pretty even, pretty heavy, pretty good.
They played once. It was a 2-1 victory for the Railers at the Wick, and I'm giving away what to watch for right now. Tomorrow night, 8:00, Railers at Rangers. Rangers at the Bick. It's either the Wick or the Bick. Yes.
Yep, that's it. Center, baby.
But damn, 15-1-0, 14-2-2. And remember, these are the 2 teams that faced off in the Boston Division Finals last year. And they knew going into it that whoever didn't win was still going to go based off of the at-large. And it's always seems too soon to be talking at large, but the next closest team is 20 points.
Right.
It's 30, and then 20. There's a 10-point or a 5-game gap there over the Wolves, who are a division leader at 10-6-0. Like, they have a good season going.
Yep.
But the way that these 2 teams are playing at the top of the Boston Division, it's pretty significant. Like, I didn't notice there. The Express are technically at 22.
I was going to say, how about the Express in 22 points in 3rd place? You'd be in 1st place in any other division.
Like, Wrap your head around that.
A plus 26 goal differential. What a turnaround for the Express. And it really all started in that series against BJR last year in the playoffs, where here they were really struggling, but they just come out of nowhere and they take BJR to game 3. What was it? All 3 games decided by 1 goal.
Mm-hmm.
And Charlie DiMartino is having a better season than Connor McDavid right now.
Yeah.
He's averaging 2.5 points a game. Connor McDavid sucks right now.
There's your title of the podcast, Charlie DiMartino greater than Connor McDavid.
I just made myself like an absolute fool.
Well, and I think, Anthony, to go back to your point, speaking of playoffs, and this is nothing against the Seahawks or Bandits, right? Because there's going to be 2 teams that still have to knock them off, right? Because remember, these divisions that have 6 teams in them, 1 and 2 get a bye, 3 plays 6, 4 plays 5. So say it's like chalk in the Boston division, and we end up, when we're down to 4 teams, it's the top 4 teams. It's Rangers, Warriors, Express, and Railers. Are you fighting to have the 1-4 matchup, the 2-3 matchup? Do you even think about potential matchups? Because those 4 teams, remember, Valley got out of the gates to a very hot start themselves. Those 4 teams are probably in the top 7 or 8 of the best teams in the entire EHLP. As we get closer towards the end of the season, if you're those 4 teams, are you trying to figure out, hey, if we're the Railers, we match up better with the Express, or we match up better with the Warriors, or can you not even think about that?
I feel like that's where you get into trouble, right? I mean, we've seen that. We've talked about that in the last 5 years of this podcast. When you start picking your matchups, you see it professionally in leagues. It's like, oh, we'll go play this. Yeah, we'll lose this one and play. You can't do that. You just got to go out, play the games. Whoever you play, and you got to try to get wins.
Yeah. And also with the at-large bid, I think that just incentivizes teams to just go for the best record that they can get.
Yeah.
And just win as many games as possible. Just increase your odds of guaranteeing a spot in the Frozen Finals.
What would be very interesting is if we get into a situation where if one team, we get to the Boston Division Finals, per se, and say it's not Railers Rangers, say there's an upset that happens along the way, and we get into a situation where one team would go, whether they win or lose the Boston Division Finals, because obviously if they win, they go, but if they lose, they'd be the at-large. But the other team could only go if they win, because they wouldn't be the at-large based off the other division series. That could be very interesting to see if that's how it plays out, where, we've had that in the past, where I think it was when the Lumberjacks faced the Avs. The Lumberjacks had to win the series 2 or 3 years ago, and the Avalanche didn't have to win the series, and it was Vermont who won, and then ultimately came up 1 game short of the championship game. But that's the Boston division. We'll shift up on the website to the Mid-Atlantic division that just continues to kind of bunch up at the top. 19 points for the Renegades, 18 points for the 87, 17 points for the Huntsmen, 15 for the Little Flyers. So a 4-point gap separates first from fourth.
The Renegades are still there.
Yeah.
Hey, Cliff.
They've dropped their last 3. They did get a point there for an overtime loss. 3 straight wins for the 87s. A 6-game point streak for the Huntsmen, including 5 wins in there. So they're getting hot at the right time. They were 3-5 when that series, or when this streak started. So an interesting run there as well. And then speaking of bunches, look at that New England division, 20 at the top, then 19, then 18. Unfortunately, the EHLP game that both Anthony and I both picked to watch got canceled yesterday between the Avs and the Wolves. We actually did get snow up here yesterday, guys.
Yeah, I had family in New Hampshire that was sending us pictures, and I was like, please keep that up there. I don't want to see that.
Lucky.
No, thank you. Lucky.
We had no snow in New Jersey last winter.
Do you want to shovel?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Anthony, come stay at my house.
I want
whenever.
snow. I want cold weather. I want to skate outdoors. Damn it!
Well, after you shovel the snow to get to that ice, though.
Yeah.
Wait, Anthony, stop at my house, shovel, and then on the way up to Neil's, then you can go to Neil's. On the
you know
way
what I'll
up.
do,
Thank
Anthony?
you.
I'll build a rink in my backyard this year. You can come up and shovel it and then skate on it. Does that work for you?
Sure.
Okay.
We all saw Anthony's skating abilities. I still can't. You're a heck of a skater, Ed. Skater, shooter, good hockey player, Anthony DePaul. Sorry, guys, he's aged out though for both juniors and college.
Oh, I already tried that with Matty Kiernan. He was like, we'll say a couple years ago, he was like, we'll say you're a 99. We'll put you on the fourth line on our P team, and you'll just be one of our better depth scorers.
You're gonna be Danny Almonte and get a fake birth certificate.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my god, I used to think Danny Almonte was so cool. I was like, this guy can throw harder than anybody else. Like, how is this physically possible? Like, I want to pitch like him. Mm-hmm. Turns out he was like
cheater.
Yeah, in his 20s playing against 12-year-olds.
Smoke. It's like, no crap, he's throwing smoke. Guys go to the bar after he goes mows down 18 friggin'
What year was that, Jeff? Because we were basically 90s? little leaguers.
No, that was early 2000s because I remember that 2000s?
Too. Yeah, so I mean, I was born in 91, so I was right in that little league range.
I'm 89.
Yep. Yeah, so we were right there. We could have faced him, Jeff. Imagine
the bench warmers. I am 12.
I am 12. One of the best memes ever.
Before we get to the fantasy segment, I want to call out a post that I was able to make on Instagram earlier this week because obviously the college hockey season has started, so it's fun for me every Monday, Tuesday of every week. This will not surprise Jeff for a second. You too, Anthony. I have all these bookmarks set up on my Google Chrome. So one of them is titled Alumni Updates. So when I click it, it opens 16 tabs at once, and it's every single college hockey conference homepage for So like, I think the first one's Atlantic Hockey, then Big Ten, CCC, boom, 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 like all through Division I, Division II, Division III, and I don't close out each tab until that conference's weekly awards story has gone out. So I hit refresh, there it is. I click it, look at all the players, and see who won the awards. And then 4 days ago, post that 5 of our alumni won awards this past week. Billy Gerard, former Rangers goalie, CCC goalie of the week. William Prey, former MVP and forward of the year. Now at Plymouth State, MASCAC Rookie of the Week. Staying in the MASCAC, Matt Gover from the Wizards, Jake's favorite goalie ever.
Oh, go MCLA.
Yeah, MASCAC Goalie of the Week, MCLA.
Also playing golf.
Yes,
golf
dude,
and hockey.
If you look at the MASCAC website and social media, if you go back to the fall, every week was Matt Gover golf, Matt Gover golf, Matt Gover golf. Because I've said this to you guys. I played golf with him before. Like, he's a good goalie of the week, right? But it's like he's an even better golfer. But again, I guess if you can be the best golfer in the MASCAC and the best goalie in the MASCAC, then whatever, knock your socks off, right? Hans Forselius from the Seahawks, remember him? Yeah, he was the NE10 Rookie of the Week this past week. And then Brogan McDonald, also from the Rangers goalie factory, guys. There you go. NE10 Goalie of the Week. So 5 awards.
Josh Fusco.
Yes.
How many games for Josh Fusco? EHL. Hashtag 3-letter league.
I probably could have actually swiped in there also, Jeff, to add Fusco for his first college win.
Hey, I mean, there we go. Better late than never.
That's funny, Anthony. I just thought of that too. Hans Forselius was definitely Jim McCabe's favorite player to call.
Oh God.
Hans Forselius.
But before we even get to fantasy, Vicky and I had some friends over last Saturday. That's when the Bruins fell apart against the Red Wings, Jeff. That those late string of penalties, and Edwards was just going off, and he wasn't saying words; he was just saying sayings. It was
slow but surely. And
yes, and our friends who are hockey fans, but they don't pay attention to that stuff. They just look at the score and whatnot. They're like,
Auntie
what's
Maggie?
They're like, yes, yeah. They're like, what's wrong with this broadcaster? I was like, this is Jack Edwards. This is what he is. And they're like,
having a seizure?
And they're like, he has so many sayings. And I was like, hold on. And I actually pulled up the gym reel.
Oh, God.
And the first goal, Anthony, Hans Forselius. I was like, oh my God.
We have to tell Jim to listen to this segment.
He was one of his favorite names to call, though.
Yeah,
so
it was.
But NE10 Rookie of the Week. But again, so on Monday, Jeff, I'll open up my 16 tabs, and we'll see what awards we win next week, because I think that's a credit to our coaches too. That's why I wanted to give that shout out, because these players are getting into situations where they can play and contribute right away, which is why you see so many guys every week win the Rookie of the Week award. These guys are getting in the lineup and immediately making a contribution to that team. But with that, we'll get to fantasy now.
Now it's time for the E-Show Fantasy Challenge. Follow along on the EHL app, available now for free on both Apple iOS and Android.
And to start off fantasy, as I think we do every week, Jeff, we highlight our Yahoo Fantasy Hockey League.
Guess who's in first, Neil?
I am in first right now, but I'm losing.
Who's E-Show Commish?
I'm losing to an EHL player right now.
Are you really? Who are you playing? Phil Parker?
Yes. He does.
Who's Sibrick?
I don't even know.
Ronnie.
Yes.
Damn you, Ronnie.
But Philip Parker has a great team name.
He does.
It's Austin Powers, but he spells Austin the way that Austin Matthews does. I mean, Austin Matthews is basically beating me in fantasy this week, but it's fun. I'll enjoy seeing that little first next to my name for right now. And I think I've kind of like fully switched over, Jeff, from the fantasy football to fantasy hockey now. I think I told you before, I have no fantasy football team at all this year. I've been doing some of the daily stuff through DraftKings. When I say that, I probably will do a daily contest on Thanksgiving. That always makes it a little bit more fun.
Oh, you have
the 3 games going on in the background. But I could also do some stuff with the sportsbook as well. And this offer for new customers on the sportsbook, Jeff, from DraftKings, it's not going away.
It's not. I mean, the Patriots season is going away, Neil, horribly, as they lose another insufferable game. I watched with my beautiful new wife. We watched the Redskins game, Commanders. Whoopsies. And man, they're just like, they just tease you. You just get right there. And then you just throw a nice little Mac Jones, little wallflower across the freaking field. And man, they suck. But they're ready to get the 5th pick of the draft. So hopefully they keep going higher up in that order. So maybe just watch some other NFL teams, because don't bet $5 on don't bet $5 on the Patriots game this week. Bet $5 and you can score $200 instantly in bonus bets on any other team in the NFL. And get in on the game day greatness. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the code THPN. New customers can score $200 instantly in bonus bets when you bet $5 on the NFL. So that's code THPN only on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. The crown is yours. Do you have a gambling problem? If so, you can call 1-800-GAMBLER, or you can visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, you can call 877-8-HOPE-NY, or you can text HOPE-NY, which is 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available there as well. For problem gambling, you can call 888-789-7777, or you can visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, licensee partner Golden Nugget Lake Charles, 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction. You can void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. And see sportsbook.draftkings.com/football terms for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources.
And let me share my screen now. I think this is awesome, guys. When you, again, for those that want to follow along at home, you can do it through the app or just go directly to the website. Under the media section, there's a tab called Fantasy Challenge.
Mm-hmm.
4th place, Trevor Blackburn. 5th place, Anthony DePaulo. 6th place, Chris Russo. 7th place, Justin Squitieri. 8th place, Haley Bruni. Ninth place, Jake. It's the entire crew, Jeff, and we're down here. Look at it. 20 for me, 29 for you. Now, I will say this, Jeff, no shot, but I already have my ticket to the round of champions in the playoffs. So
I'll say it's gravy for you now, pal.
Yeah.
Oh, look at Mike Basile with us at 25th.
I hit refresh. Sorry, 1 second.
Oh, it's okay.
It's thinking. There you go.
Oh.
I find this very interesting, though. To work above Trevor Blackburn, right? AJ Lacus is in first place, but contrary to last month, AJ Lacus didn't pick AJ Lacus. He picked Johansson.
I talked about that in my game the other day, and actually I showed Timmy Kuhns this, and he was like, "Did he really? That's really cool. I like that." He thought that was awesome that he's picking his line mate. And I was like, when I see AJ with an empty net and then he passes it to Johansson, he's like, "You get the goal. I'll get the assist."
Well,
double points.
Look at the Bruins game last night, Jeff. Vicky didn't know why I thought it was so cool, but Coyle has 2 goals, and Pasternak's looking at the wide open empty net, but he wants Coyle to get that hat trick, so he passes it right to him. In Lacus's mind, to go in AJ Lacus's mind, he's going to feed Matthias all month long, knowing that, yes, right behind him, Marc-Andre Dumas and John Koshel will get points for the assists because they have AJ Lacus, but Matthias will score the goals. I also find this interesting. I believe Marc-Andre Dumont.
I recognize that name.
Well, because I think his son is Jordan Dumont, Chiefs EHLP goalie.
Oh, okay.
He was fantastic, by the way, when the 87's P team played Connecticut. Jordan Dumont was unbelievable.
Right here. Here's the back end, Anthony. So far this month, he has 155 saves.
Holy crap. Only giving up 6 goals? 155? That seems pretty good.
So,
it's okay.
No shot at the father.
Saves.
No shot at the father, but he doesn't have his own son picked here. He picked Cam Reardon.
He likes Cammy. Okay.
It's only a 0.2 difference. Cam Reardon, 21.8 points. Jordan Dumont, 22. But if you look at fantasy as a whole, in October, Cam Reardon, remember I had him in fantasy last month, 37.2 points in October. So far in November, as I mentioned, 21.8. He could kind of be the fantasy goalie MVP so far. And then speaking of not picking people in your family, John Koshel, Ryan's a defenseman for the Wizards.
On the Wizards, that's right.
I find this funny. Maybe Jack Costable won't find it funny, but he got me how many points last month, guys?
Oh, what do you have? 7 goals, 7 assists, I think. A bunch of power play points.
7 goals, 7 assists so far. You know what the curse is this year? It just hit me. Who was the defenseman of the month in September, guys? Andrew Van Antwerp, right?
Oh, that's right. Yep.
In October, he had a goal and an assist.
And he has erupted since. I think he's got 5 and 10 now.
Yes. Who was the defenseman of the month in October?
Costabile.
In November, you guys just saw it. We don't have a goal or an assist yet. That's the curse this year. That's the Madden curse. EHL defenseman of the month. God. So, there's a bunch of guys down here that are like, don't give it to me.
Van Antwerp's about to get it again if he keeps up the way he's doing.
Yes. But credit right here to Mr. Dumont and John Koshel. Mr. Koshel. They're still right here at the top, despite having 0 in this column.
Damn. Carson Fry, he's a horse.
Anthony, you're right here at the top, despite having 0 from Drew Cody. There's your curse. It's just picking anybody to be defenseman of the month because Drew Cody was the September D of the month in the EHLP, I want to say. So some of these D that have been great all year long have taken the first 9 days off in December, I guess.
Where you get guys really grinding their gears on the ice. We were talking earlier about like picking your opponents. You're gonna guys like, wait, hold on, should I pass or shoot? Because I don't know if I want defenseman of the month. I want fantasy points, but I don't. Guys are just gonna be like frozen, like they're on like PlayStation, where you're just like, what is he doing? He's just skating into the boards. I don't know what to do.
Jeff, you mentioned Phil Feinberg, Jen Jazzle, I believe that's Jacob's mother, who has good Jacob picked and Van Antwerp. He had that hat trick against the Wolves. So I'll tell you guys what, this does take a while to update. I'm not gonna lie.
I know. I watched you count math all I come in. Neil's like, plus 3, carry the 2, minus this, points to 6. That's 1.6. All right, let's do this. Me and Walsh are hanging out. Neil's just like literally talking to himself.
So what's cool? Yeah,
9, carry the 2, plus 4, 13.
So when I go through the box scores, I'll have them like all open. Speaking of tabs, I have all the tabs open and I'm like plugging in the points right here, right? So you guys can see it. Then when I flip over to the standings page, there's a button right here where I click sort. So after today is over, I won't sort till I'm done. So there's like this like moment of suspense where I click this button and like the standings shift.
Ooh.
So like there was at one point, Haley's not going to like this call out because I was supposed to call her out earlier to thank her for how much apparel she sold at the first showcase. But there was one point where she was in first place.
I saw her and Trevor were nestled next to each other.
Yes.
How cute. They were like 2 and 3 or 1 and 2.
Well, and then I did this sort
Ducks fly
sheet,
together.
and I did this sort sheet and everything shifted and this just wasn't the case, right? But maybe Jeff, Jake did tell me this while we were in Worcester. He doesn't even care if he wins. He just wants to beat Mike.
And he's doing that currently. There we go.
So maybe for Haley and Trevor, they don't care who wins. They just want to beat each other.
True.
They could.
I think Jake and Mike want to beat each other a little more than Trevor and Haley. knowing the two Basile brothers like we do. They are relentless with each other.
Yes, this is true. The big thing to note, though, of course, for both the EHL and EHLP in November is because of Thanksgiving, technically the games will just end sooner, right? So
true.
I'm looking this up for you guys right now. So
how long is that break that we have?
We're dropping this podcast on the 10th, and EHL games wrap up. Well, I guess we do come back with a few on the 29th and 30th. There's an 8-day gap there from Tuesday before Thanksgiving until the following Wednesday. So something to think about, of course. I mean, look at if you fast forward to December, there's going to definitely be a gap here at the end because everyone's done by the 20th, right? Yeah. Look at Seacoast versus Valley again. They've played each other so many times. I feel like but
that'll be fun when you play each other a lot.
Anthony, you're right. You're right there to punch your ticket. If you can get a strong finish of the month from Drew Cody, it's all yours.
Swag bag coming your way. Coming to Jersey.
I did not get myself a swag bag for those that are asking at home.
Yeah, good job. I told everyone that on the air this week.
Did you really?
Yeah, I was like, Mr. Evans got enough swag. I was like, congratulations on another win, Neil, but you got no swag because you got enough.
Yeah.
I still got that one parka thanks to Valley Junior Warriors head coach Brian McGrath. So thank you for that. Hopefully the weather in Jersey gets cold enough where I actually need to wear it.
That's why you want.
That's why he's so pumped. Yep, here we go. Now we're seeing it.
You know what, Jeff? We're just solving problems. We're just solving problems this week in the podcast. We're finding solutions. But that's it for fantasy. We'll have things updated again by this time next week following the Philly regional showcase. But with that, let's jump now to what to watch for.
And now here's what to watch for in the EHL and the EHLP.
What to watch for is presented by Flow Hockey, the official streaming platform for your EHL and EHLP action throughout the 2023-2024 season.
So I'm going to, I guess I already did pick what to watch. My EHLP what to watch for. It's the easy one. It's Railers versus Rangers tomorrow night. I think, again, all 6 games that we have at the regional showcase will be good. But I guess if there's one that I'm kind of curious on, it's the first day when the Bears play Maryland. I think Maryland, in a quiet way, is one of the hottest teams in the EHL right now. I know they just had their winning streak snapped by the 87s, but they had won 3 or 4 in a row before that. And if you flash back to September, these two teams kicked off the year with a 3-3 in Maryland. Bears won games 1 and 3. Maryland won the game in the middle. 2 of them were 1-goal games. So speaking of 1 goals, Anthony, there's another 1-goal game on Tuesday. Bears, Maryland. Going with it.
And this is the year. This is that time of year where you get on the Team Maryland train, there, Neil.
This is true, and I just ride.
It's like an annual thing for you. You're like, watch out for Team Maryland. We're like, oh, okay, all right, here they come. I mean, there's so many good matchups. I mean, I really like Express Wolves. I think the Express are going to be extra hungry to avenge that 6-3 loss they just took to the Railers. Marquee matchup that was pretty much like one of the matchups of our Worcester Regional Showcase. So, I mean, I really like that game. Wolves Wizards. So Wolves got a real busy week against really good opponents. So I think those are two really good matchups to watch for in the EHL, because that's what I do. I know let's pick up what to watch for, and it's supposed to be one game, but I love everyone, so we're going to pick multiple games.
Classic Jeff.
EHLP. I mean, let's see. Rangers Seahawks is that should be a good game. Yeah. What else we got here? Yeah, how about we go Rangers Seahawks? Seahawks are trying to move back up the north, or move back up the Boston division standings. Good Lord, I get those premier divisions all names mixed up.
It doesn't help that
sponsorships either.
Oh yeah, it doesn't help that everyone in the league just calls it the North, and it's like, well, when the coaches call it the North, they're just referring to every team that's north of Connecticut. It's like, no, there's multiple divisions, guys. There's multiple divisions. Anthony, what are you watching for?
Let's see.
Well, I guess I'll start with the EHLP. I think I'd have to pick Sunday, the Valley Junior Warriors up against the New England Wolves. We've talked about the Valley Junior Warriors, how they've had a terrific start to the season. They have 75 goals for, which would be first if it weren't for the two freaking teams up top in the Railers and the Boston Junior Rangers. And the Wolves, their P team's also off to a really good start. They're 10-6-0. See how they fare against a strong Boston division team in the Junior Warriors. For the EHL, I don't know, guys. Let's just see how many more 3-2 final scores we'll see for the New Jersey 87s. And, in less than 15 minutes, I'm probably going to hop in a car with Chris to go call this 87's Little Flyers game. So who knows? Maybe it ends today.
If the 3-2 streak continues today, leading into the regional showcase, that would be something else.
Right.
Like, the next podcast would just have to be called 3-2. Like, it would just have to be.
100%.
But speaking of the next podcast, it will be on Thursday next week. We pushed it off a day because we had this Worcester Regional Showcase taking place the last 3 days, but the Philly Regional takes place just Tuesday and Wednesday. So we'll get back to the regular scheduled time, Thursday at 8 a.m. for us. So you'll have it by 10 a.m. That's next Thursday, the 16th. For those, again, that are marking down their calendar at home. Crazy. The Thursday after that, guys, is Thanksgiving.
I know. What the hell, dude? Oh,
my
God.
We are just cruising through this season right now. So, but hey, we'll check off one more showcase this upcoming week. If you can't make it there in person, as always, catch it on Flow Hockey. We'll talk to you guys next week.
See you, boys.
Thanks for listening to The E Show, presented by the Hockey Podcast Network. Learn more about us at easternhockeyleague.org and follow us on all of your favorite social media platforms. Also, be sure to subscribe and get notified when our next podcast episode is released.